$17,490.38. Total receipts is $379,713.02. Total bills and payroll is $737,154.47. Bonds and escrow is $10,250. CD reserved for 2 trucks is $621,414.92. Ending available fund balance is $3,828,384.01, and outstanding accounts payable is $13,336.55.
Any questions? If not, stand with presented. Thank you. Public comment. Chris, did I hear you say you want to go first?
Yeah, if you let me.
Sure.
Last township meeting, we was welcomed by the manager of Scipio Township, which is greatly appreciated. A lot of information. In that time, we had a pretty good rainstorm. It came down pretty hard. I asked the manager if he'd take a little ride and see if it was only about a mile away and check out a road and see if he could afford me comments about what we could do to repair those roads. And I hope he's had some time to reflect on that and can let us know how he can maybe by at least that road what we could be doing.
Thank you. Al?
Alan Andrews, Reading Township. It was a pretty quiet month. I've only had a couple phone calls. The one call I did receive was from Beach Drive, and I drove over there this morning just to see how it was, and you guys have been there and you fixed it. It's a narrow road, it shouldn't be a county road. It's really tough. But what I did notice this morning, 4150 Beach Drive, there's a very small spot that has become a sinkhole. It's like sand. And I don't know if there's something that should be done to it because it's gonna keep getting worse. The other thing I wanna ask about or bring up, I know you guys, you do the line painting by section, and last year, Card Road never got painted. And this morning coming in with the rain that we had, that is really getting hard to see. When would that get painted? Not till next year or
Probably fall.
this year?
I'll address that in my comments.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Maureen Miller, 4190 Beach Street. I made a comment at our trustee at our road needed fixed, Lake Road. And I don't think it was a day or two later, you guys were out there patching it up. So I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
We need to record that. Thank you.
No, I think, in the last several months,
Yes,
we've had
we
lots
have.
of positive comments,
We have.
so we're doing better.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I want to make a comment about recordings. We talked about this before with the board, and we was at a union meeting the other day. We had a grievance, and a mediator was here, and he asked us if we had it in writing from what the manager discussed with us, and we're like, no, because the manager, I assume under Cluck, the lawyer, is saying no recordings. He don't want any recordings. But we'd like to record at our union management meetings, grievance meetings, etc. We don't understand why you don't want recordings, because we're for recordings. We think you should be for recordings. It's easier to take minutes that way. But the only logical reason we can see why you don't want recordings is so the truth don't come out. We want truth and transparency. And we're hoping the board would discuss this with the manager and start letting us record again. And like I said, we're for you guys recording too. We see no problem with recording. But we'd like to have this brought up again because we've never heard anything since we brought it up months ago.
Okay, thank you. Next. Nobody?
Yeah, I'll have something to say about that. I'm Chris Wingate, and I 100% agree with you. I think this being a public domain, 100% of everything that happens in here should be recorded, or at least not denied. If somebody wants to record it, let them record it.
They can record these meetings.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right.
But they're saying not at union, or during management union meetings and stuff, they don't want us to record.
The union saying that to you, or?
No, the management. The only thing we could see is what lies are they trying to cover up. I mean, there's no lying, what's the problem?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I just think as long as it's in the public domain, I think it should be able to be
I
recorded.
agree,
so.
they have video here all over the place.
Okay, anybody else? If not, manager's comments.
All right. Let's see. First off, I wanna introduce Sarah Cook. She's our new administrative assistant. But that'll also be part of my comments to you too on here. So right now, Katie Kirkpatrick is the clerk for both boards, the road and the parks. And so my suggestion to the board is that you allow us to basically identify her as a deputy clerk, which would then, with an emphasis on the park. So when she gets spun up to speed and is comfortable with everything, she will take over the parks. You know, sitting here doing the clerk's position, but that will allow either one of them to, if they're not here, they can swap out. They're both listed on the paperwork for, you know, financial wise as clerks. They can take care of both, and if one needs to cover the other, they can. So that would be one suggestion to you for that. So anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see. I probably will be bringing a policy to the board. I don't know if it'll be the next meeting or two, to address how and when or if we take roads into our system. So we've had a few requests here lately of, it's mainly, I want to say, like either new subdivisions going in or wanting us to take over a private road. What criteria are we going to set to, what standard does it have to be before we take it into our system? Normally you bring it up to an MDOT spec, you know, and I would say a paved road, because I don't know if we really want to accept any more gravel roads into our system. We got enough gravel roads as it is. But really that'll be something I'll need to work with you as to what direction you guys wanna go with. But I think being with the questions that we're getting asked from a couple different places, we need to address that, cause there's really no good policy established as to what standard they have to meet.
I guess I'm a little surprised to hear that, because I thought there was some sort of a policy that had been in place for a long time.
It's probably 30 years old.
Yes, like, the only thing I could
But it's
find was
been-
like back in like 98 or something like that. And it really isn't very clear, it's not current.
So it was more of a tradition rather than a
Yeah,
written,
yeah.
spelled out
Yes.
policy.
Yes,
The tradition has been.
and I think we need a spelled out policy
Yeah.
to,
I agree.
because otherwise we're gonna get stuck with some roads that are like, and that's what happened back in the day, was Old Horse Pass got some gravel thrown on them and said, here's a road, and then they got turned over to the county road commissions. Now we gotta deal with the base wasn't right, you know, all this, so to accept the road, I think we need to have a spec of this is what the base has to be, this is what the surface has to be. Once it's in that condition, then yes, we should look at taking it over and adding it to our mileage for our Act 51 funding and all that. But to take over something that you know a few years down the road you're gonna have a maintenance problem with is and always has been a bad practice.
Right.
So I wanna go through, find a couple of the local policies on that, and I'll be bringing that back to you just so that you know. That's just to see, no, no action right now. All right, so the second round of Brian, we're almost done with it. They should be doing Adams Township today and getting that done. And then we've got Somerset Township, and that's the last of the second round of brine. Fayette has asked for a third round. They're asking after the 1st of September timeframe to do their third round, and we'll be done with all the brine for this year.
We haven't done a second round in years, let alone a third.
Only, I think 6 or 7 townships asked for a second round, only one asked for a third, so it's not, it kind of dwindled down.
Right.
But it took us a long time to haul the gravel to get that first round done, but we'll tweak that next year to speed that up a little bit too. Let's see, Elm Road Bridge, just south of Egypt, is now closed. I sent y'all I think a text to inform you, so at least you knew. With the MDOT inspection and recommendations on that inspection, said that if we couldn't control the traffic on that bridge, that it needed to be closed. And we controlled it as best we could by narrowing it down to a center lane and with cement barriers, and it still didn't seem to stop the heavier loads going across, so we elected to close it. It'll be closed until such time as we can get funding to replace it. So, the Dennings Road culvert, they've been installing that, should be done today, so that one will be back open after today. And after that, they'll be moving over to the Mead Road culvert and basically doing the same thing, they're replacing the Dennings. The culverts were sitting there, they're ready to go, just need the crew to move over and keep working. Let's see. Along with all the grading and stuff, they do have those 2 townships left. We've got Adams scraped, they just have to brine it, and you still need to scrape Somerset. And other than that, the graders are out trying to catch like the washouts from some of these rains and just some rough spots to spot grade, and that's what they're doing with the rest of the graders.
It's not, excuse me, it's not too wet to brine today?
No, the little bit, and I told them to contact the Corrigan, the contractor, that if there's standing water and stuff, yeah, they need to hold off, but if there's not standing water, a little bit of moisture on the gravel roads actually helps it soak in. So, as long as it's not too much, yes, they can still, and with this wind, and I think all the rain's gone for today, as long as there's not standing water, like where the berm has to get
Right,
pulled off,
Right,
they should be okay.
and the water this evening won't, once it's spread, the water this evening won't be a problem.
No, it shouldn't. Let's see. Let's see, I guess, Gary, you'd asked, to have some millings put on Pittsford Road. We have put some gravel on there right now, and they're gonna work on, I guess, then topping that with some millings. They filled in the shoulder holes and ruts and stuff, and then we're gonna try to put some millings on top of that, but, so they're working that, I just wanted to let you know that that's in the process. I'm in the process of sending Jefferson Township a contract to, work on the Trip Road culvert. We're hoping to, we've got the culvert specs that supposedly Eagle is okay with. We're waiting for a final approval from John Scabina to say, yep, that is what you can go with, go ahead and order the tube, and then we'll get the permits in the meantime. So, once we get that, we've already got the estimates, we already got everything, all we gotta do is then order the tube for that and Beecher. Trip Road is a local road, so that takes a match to put that one in, and that's why I was sending the contract. I talked to Jefferson Township's supervisor, he seemed to be okay with it, he said send us a contract, their next board meeting they'll decide what they wanna do. So we'll know that soon. Beach Road's totally on us, so I wanna get them both ordered at the same time, so hopefully we can, and then as soon as we get them ordered, Beach Road comes in, we can put that in probably after we get done with any of the others.
I got just from my understanding, if that culvert had failed, is that 100% on us, even if it's on a local road? No, the township still has to match.
Anything over a 36 inch has to have a match.
Okay, Thank you.
Under 36 is totally on us.
Okay, under
On
this.
a primary, totally on us.
Yep.
I should say 36 and under is on us. So if it's over the 36, then it goes to the match. Let's see, the paint program for the local roads, we're working that right now. And basically, the plan for this year is gonna be to basically hit all the roads that we painted over the last 2 years, or actually the last 3. If they haven't been hit in those 3 years, they're gonna get hit this year. And along with the hub, all the primary roads that we paint every year will always get painted. Those, along with all the paint markings, the railroad crossings, the stop bars. So all that's gonna get done this year, and it's pushing about 220,000. I think the board approved 250. So I think we're gonna sit about 225,000 to do paint. Which, like I said, is gonna cover hopefully everything that hasn't been painted in 3 years, the normal primary roads, and anything that we're paver patch and chip sealing, you know, covering up the lines this year, and some from last year that will get painted. So hopefully we're gonna catch up to here, to where then we'll be on hopefully a quarterly, you know, basis, where once every 4 years, a quarter of the county will get painted along with the primaries.
So that should catch the road.
I should, yep, and I'll make sure that's
Okay.
on. We've got maps that we're going through right now with Mastermind as a program that we use. And we'll get with the contractor to make sure that's added in there, or that's already part of it. Same kind of program with brush spraying. I met with the Dalton agency, they're the ones that do our spray. They, as you know, they did the guardrail spraying earlier this spring, so that's the springtime thing that they do for guardrail. This fall, they'll come around and then do the brush spraying. Again, we're gonna do like a quarter of the county and try to do that to where every 4 years it gets sprayed. They do have a new approved, water-based, water-friendly spray, so they're licensed to spray that even around wetlands and stuff like that. It does take longer to do the brownout, so they normally do that in the fall, so that it kind of blends with the fall leaves changing and stuff, so it doesn't stand out to people as bad. And then this water base takes longer to act, so it actually will blend in a little bit better than what it has in the past. But so we scheduled for about a quarter of the county for this year, and again, if we do a quarter, hopefully try to beat back some of this brush along with our mowers and swing arm mowers and all that.
So when you schedule a quarter of the county, are you gonna do it township by township or specific roads?
I basically drew out a map for them, and we basically picked like certain roads that they'll do those specific roads and everything in there. And so
Okay.
the next one they'll, you know, and so it's not necessarily township by township,
Right.
but there's just boundary roads that we picked to
Okay.
make it easy for them, easy to designate. Let's see. Just so you know, we've done a little bit of equipment / people swapping with Jackson lately. We've had our grade all, the grade all in Jackson broke, and it's gonna be down for a while. We had our grade all up there digging up some roots on one of their project roads, actually 2 of their project roads, where they had the trees cut, but needed the stumps removed to be able to widen the road a little bit. So we sent our grade all along with an operator, and then hooked onto their, they call it an ice pick, but it's basically a big claw. And they just pop the roots that go out from the stump, they just pop that and then roll it out of the way. That's how they remove the roots. So over a few weeks, he cleared off 2 roads. I think today he's done. He'll be filling in the holes from the roots today. And then Monday, we'll go back up, get the grade all, bring it back. We're gonna keep the ice claw, the ice pick with it. That way, we've got a couple of roads on our projects that need trees removed, and we'll be able to use their pick to do the same thing, and help out down here. Additionally to that, they're asking if we can send a grader up to them for about 3 weeks to finish their brine, because they're trying to finish their second round of brine, and they've had some graders go down, they're having very bad luck with their graders. So in trade of that, if we can work it out, we're gonna bring down their mill to mill Montgomery Road that we were talking about, that mile stretch. Because if we're gonna put a 3.5-inch overlay, you wind up with a big hump at both ends.
Right.
And so they'll be able to mill the butt joint and taper it off on both directions. They'll bring the mill down, do that in one day, and so we'll get that in kind of a trade, but we'll direct charge for everything. So there's no, oh, we'll trade you this for this, and nobody really knows how much anything costs. Whatever their labor, equipment and stuff costs, they're gonna charge us. Whatever it costs them to have our grader and grade off, we're charging them. You know, so it's a direct charge. It will equal out basically, but just so there's no question, and we can show everything, that's a direct bill to both counties. We're also gonna try to bring down at least one, if not two flowboys to help with our chip seal and or possibly even putting on shoulders. One flowboy that they've got can basically haul and you do the same amount of work that 5 tandems can do. So that frees up 5 guys or 4 or 5 guys for one flowboy. You know, they can go a lot farther without having to stop and hook and unhook and all that with a chip spreader.
So their tractor will be pulling it, or?
Yes, yes. So they're all set up with their wet kits and everything, and they'll bring down a tractor and a flowboy. They'll hook up to that'll be the thing, is can our chip spreader hook up to the hitch?
Oh,
That's on.
yeah, different.
But I think they're basically the same, but if that works, who knows, maybe that's something we can do in the future for both. But just so you know, we're swapping some things back and forth.
All right, question on the grader.
Yep.
If we have gravel roads with berms that have issues, do we have the freedom to give a grader to Jackson for 3 weeks?
I think it's kind of a, what can we get out of it, more of a thing. I think we benefit more for doing that, because we'll still have 3 graders here to work with what we need to work with. But getting that mill, other than that, you're gonna contract it, and it's gonna be costly to bring a mill in. Between the mill and or getting the flowboy, I think it's well worth our while. And we do have 3 other graders that we can keep working on, and at that point, they'll be like basically grading up the roads to keep them in shape. There's only one grader that's gonna be in front of the burn crew to cut that out. So that leaves 2 to keep scratching things up and 1 up there, so.
So we think that covers us pretty well, and
I
we
would.
gain more than we lose,
I would, yes. I would say
is
we
what
would.
the feeling, or the analysis is. Okay, thank you.
Let's see. We have been processing gravel at the Watkins pit. They're moving along really good. I think he's got at least 2 cones done, which is probably about 10,000 yards. We took samples last week, and I took them over to Jackson, to Charlie, to run some sieve analysis on them, just to make sure what we're calling, if it's 23A, 22A, exactly what's getting made. Cody, the guy that is doing it from the excavation company, basically said with the gravel that he's using out of that Watkins pit is making far better gravel than what they've been making over at Branch, just because of the difference in gravel in the 2 pits. So he's very pleased with what's coming out of it. We're gonna test it and see how it comes out. That way we can tell everybody this is what we're using on the roads and that it meets specs that we need. Other than that, I guess I'll let Charlie hit some of the engineering highlights.
Yeah. Territorial Road Bridge, everything has been submitted with MDOT. We've just been going back and forth with any comments that they've come back with us. With it being a dual bridge project, there's a lot more eyes on it, making sure that all the paperwork has been properly submitted. They will let us know what obligation letting date that will fall under, whether it's September or sooner or after that. So once we get a date set on that, I'll inform you guys on the date. And we have the Eagle permit out there, as long as we do some sort of work out there, we're gonna have our guys go out there and do some tree trimming out there. That way we have started before that September 24th deadline. We also submitted the safety project for Moscow, Bankers, and Territorial Road, where it's the rumble strip through the center, and then pavement markings on those sections of road. That was a safety grant that was awarded back in 2021, I believe. So we're getting that bid package all submitted to MDOT, got all the paperwork filled out for that. We have a completion date for November 15th of 2024. So if it's awarded and the contractor is able to jump on it this fall, great. But to keep costs low, we're giving them extra time to be able to do it next year if need be. So completed federal aid projects, we have the Camden Road portion between Tuttle and Likely. And we're working with the contractor on balancing out quantities, making sure everything is completed on that project, and we'll start the closeout process for that. And then we're also doing the same thing with Montgomery Road between Long Lake Road and Abbott, going through the quantities, making sure everything matches, and then we'll begin the closeout process for that as well. And then recently we've been working on the buyout projects, the federal aid buyouts. So we started over on Camden Road, got that paved and covered up, and we're looking at doing striping out there next week. I'm meeting out there with Gherkin to go over a couple spots where the pavement was kind of cracking and pulling apart. So we're gonna look at that, see if that's something that could be addressed by milling it and just patching it back in, or if it needs to be a full undercut for those locations. But once we've gotten a further review on that, we can make an assessment of what we need to do out there. And then Montgomery Road between Cambria and South Hillsdale Road, that was milled on Monday and Tuesday, and they started paving yesterday. And they were gonna finish paving up today, but that was canceled due to the weather. So they're gonna resume paving tomorrow, and they should be finished with that after that. Other than that, the Elm Road Bridge, I reached out to contact, I called him again this morning. He's gonna be sending me some options of whether it could be done with a tube pipe or if it could be completed with a pipe arch culvert out there. So he's gonna give me some pricing on there, and we're gonna coordinate with Eagle on that, because in John Scabina's notes, he did note that there was possible mussels out there. So if that's the case, we may be able to work around that with a certain culvert fix if it's not a tube, and if we did like a pipe arch. So we're gonna have to coordinate with them. If we have to do a mussel survey, we'll just have to make sure that process starts before winter so that it can be done. Otherwise, we'll have to wait till spring. So try to get some clarification on that. And I think that's all I have. Unless I'm missing something.
So I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Okay, with the territorial road bridges, Bob and I had a conversation before the meeting started. You know, all along we've been told it's gonna be an August letting.
Yep.
Well, here we are, almost the last week of August, and so, you know, are we ever gonna get to the finish line?
We have everything submitted, and everybody that's supposed to review it has now reviewed it. We submitted everything to MDOT back in June, but MDOT has multiple different entities that have to review it, since it is a bridge project, which goes through a lot more review than a lot of other federal aid projects, like crush and shaper and overlay. So there's been a lot of things that got kicked back to the designer, and the designer had to make a couple small little tweaks to the design or the cost estimate or anything with the permitting. So it's just a lot of checks and balances for that project, and I think everything's been approved.
So in your comments, you said, you know, it might be a September letting or later, and
Yep.
that or later, I gives me heartburn.
Yep. Once we submit everything to MDOT has the right to choose which letting it goes to. Usually they give you a 1 to 2 month window what letting that they're aiming for, so it's usually the first Friday of every month. So
As far as the permit expiring, as long as we get out there and start some work, that'll hold that permit.
Okay.
Yep.
Right, so.
the permit only says when work has to start, it doesn't necessarily say when the work needs
So
to be
we can go out
completed.
there with our crews and start brush and tree removal and some of that kind of stuff, to at least start the work to keep the permit.
That starts the clock ticking.
Then when it gets let, then tell you who the contractor's gonna be to actually do the actual work on the bridge.
Cause if we go back, way back in the winter, it was gonna be letting in June or July, and then it got pushed to August.
That was the hope.
And now, you know,
I think a lot
August is about shot.
of it also, when the cost of construction skyrocketed and we had to ask for match, it got kicked back to a lot of other departments to make sure that they're good with the increase in cost and that nothing was overlooked during that. So I think that was the biggest hang up on everything.
And they
But
did
we're very
agree to take up
grateful,
the match, so.
very grateful that they're still hanging on to their 80% match.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other times they have just said, this is what you're being granted amount, so you gotta come up with the rest of the money through locally.
Which that would've been about another 1.2, 1.4 million that we would have to come up with.
Yeah.
And at that point, it puts it out of our
Ouch.
abilities at that point.
Yeah. Okay, another question then, you talked about the safety, project with some rumble strips and so forth, and you mentioned Territorial Road. So my question is it the full length of Territorial Road?
Yes.
Well, okay, here's my concern. From Territorial Road, on Territorial Road, from 127 to M99, that was chip sealed and seal coated in 2019 or 2020. Nothing's been done with, Territorial Road from M99 west to the Indiana line. And I drive that road 2 or 3 times a week. And to me, it's a waste of money, to spend safety money out there when that section of Territorial Road needs the same treatment that the east half of it got. So is there any way that we can delay doing that part of it until after we chip seal that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something we can talk to the contractor once it's awarded on a time frame. And if it's something that we wanna try hitting with a chip seal program and try to coordinate with them, it shouldn't be an issue.
If they've got out to 15 November of '24, that gives us time to
Okay,
come up with a plan.
because I think you guys need to go drive that stretch of road that I just talked about, and, it's considerably different than the east half that was done in 19 or 20.
Can be looked at.
Do you have anything else, Bob?
No, I think that's it, unless you got questions.
Well, because Gary's asking about Territorial Road, what are the other roads that the safety grant's for, and what are the conditions of those roads? Because again, I don't think we should cherry pick roads, I think we need to assess all the roads that we're working on, and are there other roads in that safety grant program that need to be assessed? I don't remember hearing, I don't remember what the other roads are.
Bankers in Moscow.
And Moscow is what, Moscow Road from where to where?
Should be from 12 to the county line.
I think so. I have to bulk plans again.
So it's everything from 12 north to
Right.
Jefferson.
Okay, so you're not coming south.
And then they're, I believe they're probably going right up all the way to 60.
Yeah.
And
So
what's the other one?
That's just part of our.
Bankers,
Bankers.
We're at them bankers.
that's going from the county line to the city limits.
The county line,
Which is
North or south?
Branch County.
Branch
It
County,
goes
sorry.
west, clear to the Branch County line.
why
Yeah,
am I
man.
thinking Bankers is a north-south road?
It runs both directions.
Oh,
It
that's
runs-
why.
It runs
Okay.
north-south
It
and
runs all
east-west,
over.
yeah.
Right,
Sorry.
that
But you're
curve.
talking from 49 to Branch County line?
No,
Bankers?
you said the county line to
Yeah.
the city limits.
Yep, to the city limits.
So it'd be
Build
from
the city
forty-nine
Everything we
back
have.
to the city.
From the city
I-
to the bridge.
Well, you go Bankers Road from Bankers to Mechanic, and that's kinda rough. Can we pulverize it and redo it while we're putting the rumble strips in?
You got the money?
I'm thinking you start putting.
We can do it.
I'm thinking you start putting rumble strips in, you're gonna pulverize it, is what you're gonna do.
So I
Almost
guess, I guess
get
that's
like
my
that.
question, is let's look at all of them and make sure they're where they need to be for what we're doing, so.
I think probably the chunk from 12 north to the Jackson County line on Moscow Road, that probably is okay. And that's had some work done on it, not that long.
I would say that is, I'm on that road, and I would say that is in
But you
pretty
go
good
from
shape,
12 to
other
North
than,
Adams, and there's sections of that that's not.
but that's
a
not
good
part of
road.
the safety grant.
Right.
So the only thing I would say on 12 north would be there's some, roadside issues, you know. there's Shoulder issues, yes. Thank you.
Jackson County's also doing the center line rumble strips on Moscow Road heading north, so
To
they'll
60.
be doing that next year
Yeah,
as
so
well.
12 to 60 will have the
Right.
new rumble strips.
Well, I hope Jackson works on the edge of that road first, cause there's some edge issues over there, but anyway, that's not my county.
I will pass that along.
There's edgy issues all over.
Yeah, there's shoulders and berms everywhere. I mean, we can work on them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So speaking of shoulders and berms, this wasn't our project, but M99 out here, they just put the gravel in along the berms. On that state road, I'm surprised they didn't put limestone in, because I would think that that would work better than the gravel.
MDOT doesn't use limestone very much, and they don't use millings. They use gravel. That's their spec, that's their standard, and that's what they stick with.
But that's probably not the case in Monroe County, because I don't think Monroe County uses any gravel.
I couldn't tell you, but.
Yeah, but you're talking Monroe County roads versus MDOT County road, or MDOT roads.
Well, I know, but I'm sure I've been on MDOT roads in Monroe County, and I've never seen gravel on Monroe County roads, that's my point. But anyways, I got my answer, and that's what I was looking for, thank you.
Any other questions for Bob? If not,
I have some, 2 or 3 more. Okay, so the M49 project at Arkansas Road, when is the state expecting to have that completed? Any idea? We
Not
still
sure,
a month away?
If I can find out.
We'll have to get on this website and
Because
find
I
out.
have some people in that area.
That's been kind of a
asking.
moving target. That same as the 99 one down here.
Yeah, I've had a lot of farmers wanting to know when that's gonna be done, because there's a lot of drainage going.
And to be honest with you, they're throwing out like estimate dates, but will they hit them? Probably not. Just to say.
Yeah, it would sure,
Like they seem to be a moving target a lot.
it sure would be great if they could get that one in particular done before fall harvest.
I think they're intending to have both of them done before, not fall harvest, but this year.
Mhm.
Before the first of the year, or,
This year.
oh, this year?
And even then, that's a moving target.
I mean, they've had, that's been closed for what, at least a month or more?
Probably 2 months.
Well, they closed it, opened it back up, closed it again when they were doing the relocation of the
Yes.
high pressure gas line.
I think they only closed it about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I hear them working on it.
But aren't they,
He's over there.
they're not putting a bridge in there, are they?
Concrete box, I believe.
It's basically the same thing, but it's a concrete box, and then the road will go out.
I think due to the depth, they have sheet piling down there. And then also doing utilities out there, so
Are they gonna leave those steel pilings in?
usually they pull them out.
They're not gonna go to 99 until they get 49 done, right?
That's 2 different crews.
99's where the light is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's, then that was my next question, follow-up to that, is there any movement there, or?
Nope, all I know is the Drain Commission is overseeing the project. They're not doing it. It's kinda like us doing a 426 with MDOT. it's a pass-through money for us, we do the bidding and control the contractor and stuff, they just pay for it through us. That's basically the same principle happening with the drain commission, they're just overseeing the project, MDOT's paying for it and doing all the back work, but. So I've heard in the past I can't remember where it was at, but people were complaining that the drain commissioner was holding this up and it's not, he's not doing it, he's just like managing the project. So he's not holding anything up himself or anything, he's just gotta let the process work.
So are we talking about Hillsdale County Drain Commissioner?
Yes.
And he's in
Cause that's a
charge,
drain.
because that's a Hillsdale County drain that goes under that road.
Yes. And that's the way MDOT gets through some of their funding issues where, just like us, if they want some work done the road on 94 or 99, they'll ask us to do a 426 and we'll contract out for them, and it gets away from some of their requirements for bidding and the time frame and everything, we can do it quicker. And same thing with that, they're going through the drain commission to do it that way instead of their normal procedures would take years to do that, but.
So Doug, is our drain commissioner working on that?
So as manager says, the drain commission is gonna oversee it, my understanding. They're gonna like vend it out, okay? And it's my understanding that that's a state drain currently, that once they do the project, then it will be a county drain. They're doing a flop so that in the future, county drain commissioner can take care of the drain. Currently, as it is, it's a state drain, drain commissioner can't touch it. So that's
Okay,
why
that was
this
that.
process has been set up like this, to my understanding.
And MDOT doesn't have to deal with legal.
So,
And the drain commission
Roundabout, we
can't,
still do.
the drain commission can't actually do the work because they're not staffed for that. And the steepness requires, standards as well, safety standards, thus the jobbing it out.
A lot different equipment, a lot different standards, and they'll just oversee the project.
So has there been any talk, with regards to that project about an alternate route or a detour route from the state? I mean, because,
Eventually, when it gets closed, they will detour,
yeah,
and they'll select that, and
because there's gonna be a huge hole in the ground there.
Yeah.
And the road will be totally closed for probably months.
they will come up with a detour route for that, and they'll ask us what roads we want it to be, what condition are they, what repairs need to be done.
I mean, the only.
They did the same thing for Arkansas.
Yeah, the only sensible route, is Burt to Bird Lake, south a mile to Camden Road. And Camden Road's in good shape, but Burt and Bird Lake are not in very good shape to handle semi-traffic day in and day out.
We might get some benefit out of that,
Yeah.
where we get them to redo the roads at a better condition what they were in before they started. And
Yeah,
so far, they've been pretty good to work with Jason and a couple of them up there in the Jackson TSC about what detour routes and what they're gonna do to keep them held together while the detour is going and afterwards to address any issues.
so is 99 gonna be fixed this year? I mean, this is already the end of August. No.
I'm not a betting man, but you wanna take bets on this one?
Well, I guess, and it's,
Again, it's a moving target, but we can find out what their best guess is what they're planning for both.
okay, well, it sounds to me like 99's not gonna be done this year at all.
Yeah, highly unlikely.
Because it sounds like Arkansas is further along.
Yeah,
It's in the process.
they're at least under construction there. I don't think they even know yet for sure what they're gonna do on 99. Bob, would you say that's a fair assessment?
I'd say it's fair assessment, it won't get done this year.
But we can get back to you on both projects as what their best guess is.
Yep.
On completions.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question? Regarding the road that we talked at the last meeting that had to been repaved because there were some issues with that
That was
road.
Camden.
That was Camden Road, and those have been
We've
addressed.
addressed
and-
those, but there's still two more that we're, need to address,
Okay.
just to, before we button everything
We
up.
got some
Okay.
cracks.
Okay, so it was Camden Road that
Yeah.
they had to
Yes.
go back and okay.
Yep.
And so that part's been done, but they got a
Yes.
couple of other
Yeah,
issues,
they-
okay,
They dug that out, our guys, backfilled and compacted it, and then they repaved.
okay.
But there are still at least two spots that we're watching.
Okay.
We talked about spraying, brush, and guardrail and so forth. Nobody has sprayed any brush or cut any brush on the guardrail and territorial road that goes around the south side of Lake Diane.
Okay.
There's numerous places where the brush is right out into the roadway. And a good chunk of it, you can't even see the guardrail. It's covered up by brush. It's been years since anything's been done at that spot. And there's a big bend in there, a lot of guardrail.
Which bridge is that? Is it both of them?
This is guardrail. It's guardrail at the south end of Lake Diane on Territorial Road.
Where the curves are. Down by the party store and stuff.
Yeah, it would be west of the party store. Between the party store and Woodbridge Road. The intersection of Woodbridge Road is just west of the curve.
Because the lake's so close to the road right there, you spray that and we're gonna have
Well, then it needs to be
problems.
bush hog
We can send our
because
swing arms
something.
out there.
Huh?
We can send a swing arm out there and mow it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It's pretty bad.
It
I go
is.
through there a lot.
Okay. So, we got them out, we just gotta send them to those spots.
Old business, we got any old business?
And now for something completely different. Public notification of when we're working on the roads. I've been on the county website, and you did have the Elm Road closure, Dennings Road. What about when we do seal coating?
Yeah.
I don't see anything on there about
Well,
that.
to be honest with you, our new person Sarah here
Ah.
She's
is
gonna
gonna
get trained this week
is
and
gonna
next
get
week.
tasked with putting things on Facebook, the
Okay.
website. They're going over to the county to get trained on how to update the website.
Okay,
So hopefully we can start getting a lot more
okay.
notification out, at least of those two items, along with getting things like normal sent to the radios and
Yeah.
central dispatch to schools.
Commissioner Schmidt, I'll give her credit, that she's been putting on Facebook from the sheriff's department.
I forwarded. Sheriff's Department has done, has been, I see it from the Sheriff's Department, and I share that. So to try to get it out there, so more people that share it, the more people that will know.
And, you know, it's to you guys' benefit, because if they're seal coating, you want people to stay away, you know, you don't want them to come down the road.
well, and the other thing is, you know, if people are made aware of it beforehand, they'll
Yeah.
find an alternate
Yeah,
route.
they'll go
Yes.
someplace else.
Yes.
Because the last thing any of us wanna do is get our vehicles covered with tar or get hit with loose
Or
stone.
set in line.
So when our traffic regulators direct you to that lane, stay in that lane.
Yeah, stay in
Don't come
that,
back.
lane, don't go over the other one. But anyways, that's what I had for old business.
All right, yes, we should be
Yeah.
getting better and better with notifications.
Thank you.
Any other old business? If not, new business, extend pavement marking contract.
So this is the contract that I was talking about. They agreed back earlier this year to hold their bid price. You guys accepted that. So I guess we didn't actually physically do it, sign
We didn't sign
contract, so
it,
this
no.
is to button that up, the signed contract to get this painting done.
We've already approved it, so I think it's just a matter of signing it.
Yes.
have a question. Do we have a map, you know, of the county roads that outlines all of the primary roads in the county? I mean, as I look at this map here, that's in front of us, you know, the blacktop roads are dark. Some of them are
We do have
local
one
roads, and
version,
some of them are primary roads.
we do have one version, it's a smaller map that I've found that has the definitions between gravel, primary, and local. I think we need a new one. And get them made more like this that define that, so.
There is-
I think that's something that would really be helpful to us as road commissioners.
So you know what's gotta be
Yeah.
participated with and what doesn't,
Yeah.
yes, I agree.
I think there is one on the website, isn't there?
That's the one that's out
That's
there,
the
it's an
old-
older one,
yeah.
but it's smaller and it's harder, you gotta blow it up and. There is one version, but like I said, it's old and we need to.
When do you think we can get an updated map?
We also have the CERT book too.
What's that?
We also have the CERT book as well, and that also helps distinguish between primary and local.
Yeah, that's kind of like either one big map that's like so small that you can't read it, or the individual pages that we can get you that.
Well, I know when we went through the township meetings, those maps that we had, and I don't know if those are the CERT book maps,
Probably.
they did delineate between primary and locals.
Yes.
And so, you know, I guess my question is, we had those in print, I could go back and find them, is that something you could email to us that we could see it on email as well, so I could reference it on my computer?
Yes, you should be able to have this,
Right.
the entire CERT book.
Right,
You can get that from the website. One
that's
of the
already on the
drop-down box,
website,
you
okay,
go
it's
there,
already
it's
there, that's right, and I have looked at that, okay, yep, I just need to go there.
Last updated 21.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, yep.
Yep.
My recollection was though that did not spell out like the blacktops, which were primary and which were local, did it?
And this one gives local paved and local gravel.
Okay, but it doesn't
It
show,
doesn't designate the
it
primary.
doesn't show the primary.
Because primary roads aren't the issue on that map.
Exactly,
Those are township.
yeah. But that's the thing that I would really like to see is,
Well, I think it'd be easy enough, we will have to find the vendor that makes the maps. And make this map, but add the definition of a primary and local. That's the only thing this one's missing that I've seen.
okay,
And, all-season roads too.
Yeah, those could be designated, yep.
so they could, by color coding, you
Yes.
could do that.
Yeah,
Right.
get it red,
That would be
blue,
nice.
green.
Yeah.
Just like these, the red roads are MDOT.
Yeah,
You could make a certain color road the primary, or the all-season, certain color primary, certain color gravel.
Please do that.
yeah,
Yes.
that'd be good.
It's gonna cost a little money, but we'll do the research and bring it back to you.
Well, and even when we go to the township meetings, we can share, you know,
Yeah,
with the township boards and that.
If we get them, we should get enough for each township to have one.
But normally when you do that, you'd order like a box of them, quite a few thousand.
There's tons in a box.
The other one do that about once every 7 or 8
100
years.
years.
Yeah.
Because they're like tear-offs, right? They're like on pad, isn't that what I saw? These are like on pads, or are they individual
Oh, no,
sheets?
it'd be folded,
They'd be folded.
yeah,
Okay.
maps.
I mean, and a good example would be, you know, like in Ransom Township, for example, Bird Lake Road. Part of it I know is primary, but I don't think all of it, but I know that not all of it is.
And it should designate that.
Yeah.
That's one thing I haven't really liked about these maps, but yes, it does need a new map with,
It'd be helpful to you too.
yep. And there's been changes since this one was printed. There's been changes to the road, you know, roads added or,
Or deleted, we've closed a lot of roads.
yep.
Yeah, you were gonna work on a policy on that, or found a policy or something on how to properly close the road?
Probably close it or
Yeah, you said
accept
The
it.
procedure to
the
close.
procedure
Okay.
to close it. I remember you stating that at meetings.
Oh, to take it out of the system.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes. There's a lot of policies that
Need to be updated.
needed. again, we've got a new person.
Whoa, your list is growing.
All right,
I got a couple of questions.
yes.
At one of my township meetings, it was brought up, US 12 by where Stoneco is, driving, those trucks are driving on the paved roadside, the berm, and it's tearing up some of those driveways. Is there anything from a county, from our county standpoint we can do, or is that all state roads, state issues?
It is state road, state issues. We only maintain it for the state under the contract. When you say driving, so driving on the shoulder?
Yes, I keep on, for whatever reason, that word is escaping me every
You
time,
like
every
burn.
time. Evidently. Yes, because I think you have the extra shoulder over there, and when they come out, I think they're
Are
driving
they
on the
trying to come
shoulder.
up to speed over on the shoulders, or?
They're
That I
actually
do.
doing that. I got behind one the other day when he pulled out, and I don't blame him. As big as
Right.
they are, you're gonna stop.
And when they're loaded, they're not going very fast.
Right, and he pulls out, and he goes over to the berm, lets everybody by him, he slowly picks up speed. And, it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing for the shoulders.
It's on the state to take care of.
Well, and the question came from a concerned citizen in Moscow Township that family owns 3 of those driveways along there, and they're saying they're messing up their driveways, they have to work on them. And that supposedly, the meat place,
Jerome Country.
thank you,
Market.
Jerome Country Market, they're working on their driveway. Now, Jerome didn't, nobody from Jerome said that to me, this was, so one of their questions was that there's signs about not driving on the shoulder, and of course, they're placed on the other side, they're not placed right there.
Those are for when they have the
That's for the
race.
races.
And I
but-
understand that, and that's kind of what I
But there is a
said.
difference between a fully loaded gravel train and a vehicle.
This is a different kind of a race.
Yeah.
So again, my question is there anything from our standpoint that we need to get involved with? Should we be fixing their driveways? Is that part of maintaining that road? Can we
I will
get,
have to get with them on that.
okay, we'll find out. some
Normally that
information.
starts getting into some of their,
Jurisdiction.
Right.
their policies and funding and what they will and won't do.
Right, and if you can follow up and let me know, then I can report back. I know also those citizens would love to have a sign over there that says no driving on the berm. So, or the shoulder. No driving on the shoulder.
Right on the berm, quicker out.
I know, no driving on the shoulder.
We want them to drive on
Yes,
the berm.
yes. And so the only other question or concern I had when I was coming, I believe when I was coming out of Litchfield Road, it looks like there's a lot of popping going on there. Are we aware of it? Have we looked at it? And is Litchfield a primary road? I'm assuming it is, but I
When
don't.
you say popping, like potholes or?
Yes, and it's a lot of them. I mean, that road's pretty ugly right there coming out of Litchfield. And I don't know if that's the city road or if that's the county road.
On what, Litchfield?
It is at a certain point, it changes.
Coming out of Litchfield, going east is where I was coming out.
So it'll go till the city or village limits is
Right,
theirs, and then
right.
from there it's ours.
Right.
So we go out there and take a look.
So that's all I'm saying, is
So
take a
you're
look
talking
and see
from what, the city limits to,
the church.
oh, that's a short stretch, that's,
It's
yeah, that's a
city.
question there, but I think that is city.
Yeah, and again, I don't know who it belongs to, it just looked kind of rough there, and if it's primary road, is that something we should be addressing?
Where,
That's probably, and actually you can probably see it on your map, if it's got that grayed out square, if it's inside that, that's gonna be their,
yeah, they're part,
It's close.
it's
we
close.
can look at it and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just look at it, and if it's ours, if we need to do something, if we could, and if it's
close,
not,
then probably
then.
the city probably says the county, and the county says the city.
Oh, yeah. That's not ours, no, that's not ours.
What about pay a line?
Because that Litchfield Road's in pretty nice shape, and that one spot there was looking kind of.
Alright. I think, I know where you're talking about, and I think that's in the city, but
Okay.
we'll look.
Well, if it's in
I
the
can look
city,
at that on my
okay.
way home.
Alright, okay.
Any more new business? Not, we can go to public comment. Now what?
Speaking of the stuff growing over the guardrail, down on Long Lake, south of Card, there's about a 100-foot section, maybe a little bit longer, at the bottom of a hill, that vines have grown over and are all the way to the road. I was gonna go down there and spray it, but when I went down and cut with my lawnmower, I almost got run over, so so, but anyhow,
Well, that's our, like, to keep it from eroding.
Is that in those S curves?
that's what I figured.
What's that?
Is that in those S curves down there?
No, Long Lake, it's straight, it's south of Ridge Drive. The curve goes around the campgrounds and Ridge Drive, and I live on Ridge Drive, that's why I mow up there, but this is at the bottom of the hill on the east side of the road, and it's all the way to the road right now. One other thing, I'm losing that good, warm, fuzzy feeling about our road projects.
Which one's that?
Ditch and deeper.
We have 3 road projects. Blair Road between Reading and Humphrey, Fowler Road between Reading and Card, Hakes Road between Brush and Reed.
As soon as we're done with chip seal, that's where everybody goes, is to all those berm and dip projects.
We're good then, right?
Not a problem.
We are gonna do our best to get that whole, I got a whole list on my board for Litchfield, you, I got my job.
Okay, thank you.
How many miles of chip seal do we have to do approximately?
Approximately 50.
And I know we've started.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've got, well, you know what? I missed that on the update.
Oh, you got, I got that.
So basically, we've got Adams, Jefferson, Pittsford, and Wright townships done. Other right, we're still doing Coman Road, it'd be Camden Road to Lime Lake Road. They're working on that. They were gonna work on it today. I'm not sure if they were able to because of the rain. So basically, we've got about 3 of the miles done. None of them are real long roads. I mean, the longest road that we gotta do is 2.5 miles. It's just a lot of moving to the different roads to get them done. But they're in the process of doing that, and if you want a copy of this, I can get you a copy of what's done and where they're at and what's left.
Yes, please email that to us.
Okay,
I can do that.
next on public comment.
I'd like to say
Yeah.
something. I'm Chris Wingate, and I was wondering, where could I find an MSDS on your brine and your brush spray? Because I think that we're getting agriculturally bombarded by chemicals and stuff that are not safe to us. And I'd just like to know if there's something I can take a look at to see.
Yep,
maybe
if you
we
give it
should-
me afterwards, I'll get your information and I can get it to you.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Thank
Yep.
you.
Anybody else?
Well, on that note, Chris Myers, Township, what district or townships in that district are going to be having the brush spray this year?
What do you mean?
Just look at your map. Oh. It's basically Camden, Reading, Cambria, Woodbridge, and part of Ransom.
Probably Emily.
This corner of the county, the southeast corner of the county.
Southwest
Okay.
corner.
Southwest corner of the county, yeah, sorry.
So it'd probably be another 4 years before Scipio Township would be seeing, that in that
It
district.
depends on how we go
Right,
around,
right.
but it could be next year.
Okay, which, procedures, the property owners just have to put do not spray sign, or do we have to get a waiver, to not spray on?
Just get a hold of us, and if you have signs out there, and the company that does it, we've worked with, I've worked with them in Jackson and here, they're very good about if people have issues with the organic,
Right.
especially now.
I also would like to have the MSDS sheet of the brine and the chemicals.
Okay, yeah,
that's being
give
sprayed.
us your, email, phone number, whatever, I can email or text it to you, and
And back to, the gravel roads, you brought up as far as, you're processing cheaper gravel, so you're able to do more work on the county roads. When are we going to start seeing that type of work, in the towns, as far as deberming, applying gravel from the shoulder roads out to the center?
as soon as we're done with the chip seal, we'll start doing all those projects.
So you probably don't have,
All the way up till it
September,
freezes.
October, and, around that area.
Yeah, that's a good estimate, and right up until it freezes and we can't do it anymore. You know, so deberm is an easy one to just keep doing until it freezes on you and just pulling it out in the road, picking it up and giving it to whoever wants it.
Alright, thank you.
Next. Yes.
I just want to touch base, and I only asked Alan because my daughter lives on the corner of Humphrey and Long Lake Road, and she's a runner, and if we could just run a mower down through that whole Long Lake would be great, but she said the same thing, like, you can't, the weeds are as tall as she is, so to get off the road, it's pretty tough. Very dangerous through that S-curve, and like he said, maybe even through the straightaway. You guys could just look at that, that'd be great. I'm gonna ask again that we record the meeting. Thank you, Mark, for coming and recording the meeting. I think that's excellent. And I wanted to know, did you have a chance to go look at Bernard Road?
No.
So I went out there when I left the meeting and literally I took pictures, like I can fit both my feet in it and it comes halfway up my leg. Now my concern is, it's a passable space. It is in the center line, but boy, if you're on a motorcycle, it's gonna grab your whole tire.
So where exactly is that? Cause I think
Well-
they went out and they said, well, they found a couple of small ones, but they didn't see.
Well, let me just tell you, it's Bernard Street. I had to drive around because I didn't know you had to go all the way. It's almost just before Bacon, so where Bacon comes around that big curve. I thought it was city. I would have argued it, but they say it's county, and it's almost to Bacon. You'll see it.
Okay.
It's just when you go down the hill. If you go from Bacon to Bernard, just right down the hill, I think they can just squirt some stuff in and fill it up, personally. But I'm not a road person. so-
Bernard is, I'd say about a mile long there, 3/4 of a mile to a mile, that's county road from Bacon to the city limits.
Okay.
To the,
Okay, cause I got a report back that they went out and looked and I said, well, we found a few little ones that we need to
I
fill.
took
but-
pictures of it. I could show you after, just so you'd know maybe.
I see
So
what
you
you're
could see it.
talking about.
yeah.
And then last but
Bridge
not
Road almost.
least,
Yeah, that's,
the dirt roads are amazing
Right.
over by
Bernard,
49, I'm
yeah.
just gonna say it. I think it's because they're so highly traveled, but they're pretty doggone good. I don't usually say that, but they really are. But on Hallett and Sand Lake Road, on the southeast corner, there's a tree that's just about hangs to the ground. So if you're coming Sand Lake headed north, and you're moving, right, and you're gonna come to the stop sign at Hallett, if you don't know that stop sign's there, you're not gonna see it until it's too late and you're in the middle of Hallett, which
So it's covering the sign?
it is. If you can just
Okay.
get someone to nip that off, it surely
I
help
know
it.
people that can do that.
Perfect. I mean, I can go with some nippers too, but it is one spot that
All right.
just needs some cutting. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah.
I have a question. The last meeting, they talked about the MERS savings account program. Have you heard of
I've
any
been in
meetings?
contact
or-
with them, I'm just waiting on some dates. They said their fall's pretty booked up, so I don't know how soon that would be, but I've been in contact with them.
All right, thank you.
We are still working that, cause I think it's a good
Great.
thing to do.
Bob?
Yeah, in the idea of the berms on the side of the road, maybe, and has been in the past, it's never been worked out, that you would get those things done, we wouldn't have to rework any of the berms if we were using those trucks in the springtime to try to bring in some of that as well, so just a way of getting away from that cost. I would like to apply that.
Once they're fixed, we should be able to maintain them that way, as long as they're graded right, so.
Oh, I do agree, I just hope that we can make the application for all, because it's never been done, and it doesn't, it's just accomplished that you are now in control, and we think that you might be doing something, and hopefully that.
But just so you know, we've got like a whole list of, like Alan was saying, we got a whole list of projects that the townships have already approved and put in money for. That's what we're gonna concentrate on. But after that, it should be just almost a shotgun, go start scratching berms off. You know, and it won't be any particular roads, so we're gonna try to pick a few out of every township and just start working them. It's gonna take a few years to get all this berm off, but.
Well, I wasn't necessarily saying when you wait for the money from the townships.
Well, that part we do it with under maintenance, once we start just scratching.
Just scratching back, getting that, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I wouldn't see charging the township for that as something we should be able to get back into under just regular road maintenance to take care of that.
Yeah, I agree, thank you kindly.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I guess, can I get a copy of the drug and alcohol policy? And also you guys needed, like, we're looking for road suggestions, Brown Road. It's a local road, so you'll have to work with Moscow, but it's been obliterated for quite some time. I think it either needs to be pulverized or redone. It's trashed.
I've even heard that.
Yeah, it's bad. And, they did paver patch it, but they paver patched the good side and left the trash side trash.
Well, sometimes you gotta keep together, hold the good, and wait till you get money to fix the bad stuff, but. Well, add to the list of, does the township wanna entertain the project for that? I'll take any township project that they wanna participate in.
Anybody else? Kathy?
Okay, Bob, back to the comment about the brush spraying. If residents don't want the brush spraying, they put signs out because of organic, whatever. Who's responsible for taking care of the brush on those roadsides then?
They are.
So is there any follow-up that's being done?
To be honest with you, normally, I'm just saying this how it normally happens. If somebody doesn't want it sprayed because of, you got an organic farm out there, they put signs out, they should come in and tell us that they're doing that, so we know not to spray it. And then it's their responsibility to keep that safe. Now, are they gonna mow it back as much as we would, or maybe they'll mow it back more, I don't know. But until it becomes a safety issue, or we get a complaint on something, we're probably not gonna say a whole lot.
But what if you're not mowing it?
What's
Then,
that?
what if it's not been mowed, then how does that work?
What do you mean?
Like if the side of the road hasn't been mowed, so it's
And they
grown
don't want
up.
it sprayed?
Well,
Right, that's my question.
Yeah.
If they don't want it sprayed.
We'll still
and
do
it's
the normal
not-
mowing.
We'll still do this normal mowing,
Yes.
but that brush is growing and they're not maintaining it. And what's our follow-through to make sure it gets maintained? That is what I'm asking, and maybe you need to look into that, because I think that needs to happen. Because
That would,
people have
again,
the
be a
right,
policy.
people have the right not to have it done, but they need to follow through and take care of their roadside.
but what if it's
And
not being mowed?
Well, it's being mowed if the county's mowing it.
But if the county isn't mowing it?
Well, the county.
Everything should be mowed at
Yes.
least once.
I understand
The
that.
first cut.
No, I can drive down roads and been mowed. I've been actually kinda keeping track of it, but
All right.
we'll
It
have
should
to
be.
get with you. That's my question. I mean,
That's
if it's
actually what-
mowed,
Well,
But I agree with-
the mowing will continue, the
Yes.
county mowing that we do will continue. But the brush control is for what's beyond that county mowing.
How far does the county mowing go off the road?
gonna ask.
Normally, right now, it's just one cut.
One cut.
Like
So
whatever
talking
that mower can cut.
About
5, 6 feet.
Yeah. I
you
call
have
it
a
the first
list of
cut.
roads that have been mowed?
anything over that.
And some of those
I'm sure
ditches
we
are
can
too
do
steep to mow.
33 feet.
What's that?
Some of those ditches are too steep to mow. I've tried mowing mine with my Kubota, and I'm afraid I'm gonna tip over when I get down in there.
Well, that's
So-
where the swing arm mowers, we send them out. and
But
it's-
that'd be
and it
10
can-
feet off the road.
Yeah.
So is there some reason they can't do that? I mean,
Well, they
you're not-
can, but
get as
we've
far
only
out
got
as they
so
can
many,
reach.
you know.
Cause I'm trying to go all organic, and I don't have a problem with taking care of the brush as much as I can. But there's some places where I can't get my equipment in there either.
Yep.
And your little arm would work great for that. So,
It would, we just need to get around them. I mean, we've got 3 or 4 of those that have to cover 1,200 some miles of road,
sure.
so
Do we get much funding for mowing?
there's nothing set aside for
Just for
mowing, it's
mowing.
just.
I
one
put in an
task we gotta do.
application, or I looked at putting in an application last year to help you guys mow, cause I know you guys needed some help. And what you were paying, I wouldn't even get out of bed for that, so.
I agree with you.
But I
I
thought we
didn't even
decided to
bother.
contract mowing so it would be done because our equipment was in poor shape, and I didn't see that got done this year.
That one,
Yeah, that wasn't, we didn't have time to do all that this year, so it is something I wanna see, but again, we've gotta figure it into the budget and
Mark,
What
did you have
is the
something?
general length spray from the edge of the road inward on somebody's property for the spray?
they're not supposed to spray any more than the right of way, which is 33 feet from the center of the road.
Okay, now that's where I had a problem with that, the last time they did do Scipio Township, and it was roughly 15 to 20 feet in, on the property at the river, the Kalamazoo River. And that's why we brought that issue up here at that time, and that was, Mr. Eichler and myself. Mr. Wingate brought up some good points as far as soon as you get off the shoulder of the road, you've got a one width mower that the county would mow. After that, you'd have a drop off, which would be a wetland. In that one section is where I brought up before, is where the county had actually gouged out the side of the road to drain the water off the road. And that was the reason why I've been at, why not bring up the shoulder of the road so that the water would drain naturally into the appropriated spot, the wetland, ditches, or rivers. I still fail to see anything done to that fact. As far as you can't mow it now because you've already gouged out the side of the shoulder. If they do come up here, you're going to create damage to the county mower. Now I mow it with my mower, but I have to raise my deck up and only hit the high spots and not hit the cutout section of the shoulder. So I, like Mr. Wingate, do try to take care of our shoulder road or our side of the property. But if we're gonna have the side of the road gouged out to relieve the water, that's being built up on a county road. Draining is one thing if you're going to fix the road. If you're not going to fix the road, what is the sense of cutting it out other than the amount of water that stands on the road is actually deteriorating the county road and breaking down the road base. There's a lot of road bases that are timber bases that are getting rotted away. And we're losing our county roads because of that. So if we can start seeing improvements on that aspect, would probably help out a lot of people.
I can't disagree with you, but it's just gonna take time to get to all that.
I had one more thing. Can I say it? So I looked through the audit and I see in after 2021, we went from Kenneth Talsma to Nathan Balderman for our CPA piece, or accounting piece. Did we change who does our audit? No? I just was curious. From 17 to 21, it was.
For that company. It's
What's
still,
that?
It's still Raymond.
It's still someone who works for that company. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Mark, did you have something?
It's been so long, I forget. It was along the line of how far in, because most roads you have, excuse me, 33 foot from the center, and how far in you did mow. Bob answered that. Sounded like you maybe spray as much as the whole road right away.
And they're still selective on that. I mean, if it's somebody's yard, or if it's, even though this new spray that they've got is compatible for water and wetlands, and then it's all approved, they still watch what they're doing, where they're doing it, and we can coordinate with them on any spot to say, don't spray this, or stay back.
Is it organic?
I doubt it's organic. It's a water-based spray
It
now.
might be water-based, that makes it even worse, it's gonna dissolve and get into the.
No, it's all EPA approved, and so, like I said, I can get you the MSDS and stuff on it. Just need your, like I said, your info to send it to.
I know I live out in an agricultural area, and now and then when farmers out there spraying their fields with herbicides and stuff, I can smell that. That can't be healthy for you. I lock up the house, or either that, or I'll leave town or something. That's not good. We don't need half those chemicals. We got by with it for a long time, but we don't need them now, you know.
Okay, anybody else?
Agreed?
May I just add, what Mr. Myers over here was saying in previous was on Row Road, near the corner, I should say, of, excuse me.
Rowe and Jeffrey.
No, it is Jeffries, that's right, Rowe and Jeffries. There was a culvert, and that culvert has never been replaced or taken in consideration to getting it replaced. We did have the corn, which was down there, we did have a gentleman come down there because the corn, I think it's Mr. Magnus Field, not to say, I don't know exactly, but along that side, the farmer's been using up that side of the road on Jeffries, and we couldn't get the water to go anywhere. So there was nothing there, and of course, the gentleman who came down from here said that they would trench that and at least open it up. And again, that goes back 5-6 years ago, but it had never been accomplished. As far as the spray was concerned, the only difference we found was you're talking 33 feet from the center of the road. That gives us about a 15 foot on the other side, let's say where the grass starts.
Yeah,
I'm just saying on, well, you know, close to. And what they had done is they did this overspray in the air. They didn't do it on where you have this, they pointed it into where the little trees and stuff are, and that's a big no-no. That's why we got on to DuPont and the others that was doing that. And we did capture quite a few of these little spots from that chemical that was on other people's plants and flowers inward about 25 to 30 feet. So yeah, my concern would be only that, but thanks for allowing me to speak again.
No problem. All right, nothing else, we can stand adjourned. Thank you.